What I remember.
Pinchas.
Comes after
After Mr. Black. Hey, Lecho Hashem Ekra V'yel Hashem Eschadon. Hey, Lecho Hashem Ekra V'yel Hashem Eschadon. Shema Hashem v'chaneini Hashem ya'azeli. Shema Hashem ya'azeli. Shema ya'azeli. Shema Hashem v'chaneini Hashem ya'azeli. Hashem ya'azeli. Hashem ya'azeli. Diddle-dum bum bum, diddle-dum bum bum. Ay da da la 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 la. La 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 la. Ay la 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 la. Okay. You staying in Yerushalayim tonight?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll start at the beginning of the Parsha. It's Parshat Pinchas, it's chapter 25, verse 10. And so, not an easy. Did somebody knock? No. Huh? Yeah. And while you're out there, in the kitchen on the table, there's a sefer called Chayei Olam, and there's also a brown sefer called. You see a brown sefer right here. Did somebody knock? You don't know? No. Somebody did.
I was upstairs. I just remembered about Avitam's birthday.
Now?
Hello. How are you?
Wow. Look at this. Welcome. Come on in. Shalom Aleichem.
Hello. Hi. Hello. What's the second name on?
There's a white sefer there called Chayei Olam. And there's a brown one that's called something Gedaliyahu. When did you get here?
Yesterday.
So you're a little bit. So now you're awake. It's 7 hours earlier for you.
Yeah.
Chani and
Uh-huh.
Rachel. Barak and Avi and
Nice to meet you
Leah.
guys.
Where have you been, Chani?
Working, making
Where?
a living. Alon shoot. I was a nanny for a family this past year.
The white safer is not there?
No.
I think that there's this.
No. Oh, the white safer might actually be here somewhere. Or maybe on the small table. Okay. If you don't have enough light there, there's room up here too. Okay. Anyway, Pinchas. Pinchas Eliyahu, right? And so, yeah, as you know, this week's parsha is the continuation from the story that began at the end of last week's parsha. Bilam had advised the Moavim to send their women to seduce the Jewish men. They set up markets and they were selling shmatis, and the like Jews typically say, "Don't you have something better at a better price?" And the sales girls would say, "Yeah, at the back of the store." And then they would seduce them, and just like, the guy was already beyond his self-control, they'd say, "Okay, if you want to continue, bow down to this idol." And that was Baal Peor, so a plague broke out, and then the Nasi of Shevet Shimon, his name is going to be mentioned soon, went ahead and he took the top girl from whose father was her name was Cosby Batsur, and her father was Rosh Umot Beit Av b'Midyanhu. Her father was like a top leader in Midian. And in public started having intercourse with her. Like he went up to Moshe Rabbeinu and he said, "Is this lady prohibited to me?" And he said, "Yeah, she's prohibited." And so he said, "Well, who gave you permission to marry Tzipora?" Right? So in public he started, having intercourse with her, and Pinchas went and took a spear, and he speared the two of them together, right through the sexual organs, and that stopped the plague. So now there was a big controversy. Was Pinchas guilty of murder? Because he executed them without trial. Right? There was no trial. And Hashem comes ahead and he intervenes, and that's at the beginning of this week's parsha, right? 24,000 people died in that plague. Hashem spoke to Moshe saying, "Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen heshiv et chamati me'al b'nei Yisrael." Let me shut the window because they act up sometimes. So Pinchas, the son of Elazar, the son of Aaron HaKohen, turned back my anger, b'kano et kinati b'tocham, when he avenged my jealousy in their midst, v'lo chiliti et b'nei Yisrael, and as a b'kinati, and he stopped me from wiping out the people of Israel because of my jealousy. Lachein, therefore, emor lo, tell him, hineni noten lo et briti shalom, that I'm giving him my covenant of peace. Now, I don't know if you see this in your Chumash, the way it's printed there or not, but the word shalom, the vav in the word shalom, you'll see has a break in it. It's called the Vav K'tiyah. Do they have it in your Chumash like that? No. But what about in here?
The star?
Yeah, you look at the star and it'll just say Vav K'tiyah. But in the Sefer Torah,
Oh, yeah.
here look. Over here they printed it properly. In the Sefer Torah, the Vav is written with a break in it. As a matter of fact, Rabbi Shmuel was telling me that the story that this Yid got an Aliyah in some shul, and they're reading Parshat Pinchas, and he says, "Oh, the Sefer Torah is not kosher because the Vav is broken." So they took out another Sefer Torah. They started reading from that one. He says, "Oh, it's not kosher. The Vav is broken, right? Because otherwise, anywhere else, if you have a Vav like that, it makes the Sefer Torah pasul." But nobody in the shul knew what.
It's the only place in the whole Torah?
That I mean, that the word shalom is written like that. Anyway, nobody in the shul knew that it's supposed to be that way. I actually had it happen with me once. Also, I had an aliyah in Parshat Pinchas, and I'm looking at it like, what? I wasn't aware because most Chumash that we learn from, they don't print it that way. Anyway, so that's a whole discussion about why the Vav is a broken Vav, which I didn't really prepare on that. But in any case, so Hashem says, I'm giving him my covenant of peace, right? In other words, everybody should know that I support what he did. Now, V'hayta lo ulizaro acharav, and what is the meaning of this covenant? Is that he and his descendants after him will be part of the Brit Kuhanat Olam, they will be Kohanim. In other words, originally, the original family of Kohanim was Aaron and his 4 children. And it was from the time that they became Kohanim, that their descendants also would be Kohanim. But Pinchas was the son of Elazar, was the grandson of Aaron, but he wasn't a Kohen yet. Because originally Hashem made the covenant of Kohune with Aaron and his 4 sons, and the children that they would have from that time on. And Pinchas was already born before that. So Hashem is now giving him the honor of being a Kohen and that his descendants will be Kohanim. Why? Tachat, because Asher kinei lelohav, because he acted jealously for his God. V'yichaper al bnei Yisrael, and he brought about atonement on the children of Israel. And who was this person that he killed? V'shem ish Yisrael hamukeh, the Jew that was killed by Pinchas. Asher hukah is a Midianite who was killed together with the Midianite woman. Zimri ben Salu, his name was Zimri, son of Salu, Nisi Beit of the Shimoni. He was one of the biggest leaders he was a prince of one of the major families of Shevet Shimon. B'shem Ha'isha Hamuka, Hamidianit, in the name of the woman, the Midianite woman that was killed, her name was Kozbi Batsu, Rosh Umot Beit Av B'Midian. Tzur was also a leader of nations, a leader of a whole clan in Midian, the Midianhu. So it's now the parsha. It's a long parsha, by the way. You better bring along a snack for Torah reading this week. I'm not joking. I think it's one of the longest parshas in the Torah. I'll tell you right away how many psukim it has. It has 168 verses. You know, like a regular parsha, somewhere around 100 and so on. Pinchas is like a long parsha. So there's a lot of other topics in this week's parsha. In any case, also in the parsha we have about Hashem saying to Moshe Rabbeinu, you should get ready to go up on the mountain and see Israel from the mountain, because he's not going to go into Eretz Yisrael, and and Yeshua gets chosen to become the next leader, etc. Okay, so and the question of Rashi, let's take a look at Rashi. Okay, so the very first Rashi in the parsha. If you need a chumash with square letters, maybe you can switch without these so that you can have the regular square print. But can you read Rashi letters? Can you read Rashi letters?
This is your...
It's Rashi script. That's Rashi script.
Rashi script.
Yeah. So give him this chumash. Okay. So Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen. So Rashi, as you know, he's always coming to answer a question. He doesn't write the question more often than not, but you have to understand that when from the words that Rashi chooses from the pasuk, the words that he chooses to quote, you have to understand that there's a question over here. What's the question? The question is, we know that Pinchas was Elazar's son. It's not the first time that Pinchas, we know already that Pinchas was the son of Elazar. We know that he was a grandson of Aaron HaKohen. So why does the Torah have to tell us that? And in fact, if you go back a few verses, where the story where it tells us in the previous parsha that what Pinchas did, it also says, "Vayar Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen." Just 3 verses earlier, it already told us Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen. So why does the Torah have to mention it again? Right? So Rashi says, "V'fi shahayu hashvatim mevazim oto," because the other tribes were insulting him and shaming him, and they were saying, "Haraitem ben puti zeh." Have you seen the son of this puti? It's a derogatory term, and Rashi explains what that means. Shepitem avi imo, the father of his mother, used to stuff agalim, he used to fatten up calves, lavodah zara, to offer them as sacrifices to idols. The Harag Nisi Shevet Yisrael, and this guy went ahead and he killed a prince of one of the tribes of Israel. So therefore the Torah comes and once again tells us that Pinchas was the son of Elazar, the son of Aaron. In other words, from his mother's side, Pinchas was a descendant of Yisrael. And Yisrael, Jethro, right, at one point, before he became Jewish, if he did become Jewish, but before he stopped worshiping idols, he used to be a priest in Midian. And he used to stuff calves, fatten them up, and offer them as sacrifices to idols. So how is that? What are they actually trying to say? So now the thing is like this: a zealot who gives permission, is Pinchas guilty of murder or not? According to Jewish law, you can't go and execute somebody. You see somebody doing something wrong, you can't go and whack them over the head. There's a bestin, there's a court. Okay? You got to warn the person, you got to try to stop the person, and so on. And if the person doesn't stop, in certain cases you got to intervene right away, right? If somebody's life is in danger. But You're not allowed to go out, down the street and go back into a bar and say, "Oh, a bunch of sinners. I'm going to whack them out and do away with them." Nobody gives you permission to that. The Torah doesn't give you permission to do that, right? But there is a halacha of haboel aramit kana'in pogin bo. Somebody is having intercourse with an Aramite woman. A zealot is allowed to attack them. Now, what defines a zealot? Okay, and let's say somebody comes and says, "I want to act like a zealot." He's not a zealot. We're talking about a zealot is somebody who, when confronted with a certain situation, he basically has no self-control pretty much. He just acts, does what he does. Understand? In other words, he's so enraged by what he sees that he has no tolerance whatsoever, doesn't even have time to go and ask anybody any questions. He just acts out. Now, the Torah is not in favor of people being that way. The halacha does not generally does not support that. Okay. Now, let's say, for example, somebody acted zealously. That person would then be put on trial to see, is he a real Kana'i, or is he a real zealot, or is he really a murderer, and he decided to put on the mantle of being a Kana'i, to put on the mantle of being a zealot. Okay? So the other tribes were saying, why Pinchas did what he did? Because he's got a bad streak in him. He's got a mean streak in him. From his mother's side, his grandfather had this mean streak. He used to stuff calves to slaughter them for an idol. And said, "You want to slaughter a calf? Slaughter the calf, but to go and stuff it and feed it and then kill it, there's something. It's like a mean streak." Cool. And they're saying,
Something cruel about it.
There's something cruel about it. You understand? And so they're saying, look at this descendant of this man who used to stuff animals to slaughter them for idolatry. They're saying that he has this hereditary character fault. So the Torah comes and says, no, Pinchas is the son of Elazar, is the son of Aaron the Kohen, right? And Aaron the Kohen, what was he all about? Ahavat Yisrael, real love for the Eden. Okay? And what he did, so Hashem himself is coming and testifying on behalf of Pinchas, because if Hashem wouldn't have come and testified on his behalf, I don't know what the Bezdin would have done. You understand? I don't know. The Bezdin might have found him guilty. So Hashem is coming and saying, "I'm giving him my Briti Shalom." One of the explanations, if I remember correctly, about why the Vav is a Vav Ketia, it's sort of like in the written way, the Torah is sort of trying to say, don't imitate Pinchas. Don't try to be a zealot.
Didn't Pinchas talk to Moshe Rabbeinu before he did it? On the line, he said,
He said, "Isn't this the halacha?" And Moshe Rabbeinu had forgotten the halacha, right? And Pinchas Rashi says that, right? So Moshe Rabbeinu said, "If you know the halacha, then do what you think you need to do." So it's very interesting. I really love this sefer. Whoever can read Hebrew is so good. Rav Steinsaltz, these are talks that Rav Steinsaltz gave in his yeshiva to the students. I've been reading it almost every week, parsha by parsha. So, is jealousy a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Hashem himself is described as Kel Kana, a jealous God. So what do you say? You're a social worker. What do you say?
I think it's a balance.
Huh?
It's a balance. It's how does the jealousy apply in your life? If it's affecting you negatively, so that's not good. But if it's affecting you in a positive way,
Well, how would jealousy? So what would be positive? What would be positive about
if you
jealousy?
become proactive about wanting something, you see something someone else has, and you're like, I want it, and you become proactive about it from a positive place.
But if it's done from a not healthy place, it's never going to end up well.
But if someone has something that you want, and you're just like jealousy, I'm defining jealousy as someone else having something, and you want what they have.
Are you jealous of the person, or are you jealous that you want that also? That's what she's. That's the distinction that she's making. But before he gets into that, he brings an interesting piece from the Talmud about about Kohanim. If you come across a Kohen who is a brazen, chutzpahdik, angry person, so one opinion in the Gemara is that's a sign that this is not really a kosher Kohen. Okay. There's another opinion that says no. A Kohen is a person who can be a fierce warrior. When in our history do you have that?
Besides Pinchas?
Yeah. Come on.
Oh, the Maccabees.
The Maccabees.
Yeah.
The Chashmonaim. Right? Matityahu. They were Kohanim. The Kohanim are the ones that the whole heroes of Hanukkah. They're the ones that come out and battle with the Greeks. Right?
So if you see an angry Kohen, he's descending Pinchas.
So
Is it just saying?
no, so
That actually,
no. If in other words,
He gets really angry.
huh?
Is this guy, Bateran?
Yeah, everything's in Batiran.
Everything.
Anyway, so she was just the measure brush for the third time.
It's
So-
all here now.
No, so on the one hand, the Kohen has the image of Ish Chesed, the kind person, the person who helps connects you. Ohev Shalom v'vodev Shalom, be a student of Aaron. A Kohen, it says in the Mishnah in Pirkei Avot, who loved peace and pursued peace, loved people. Okay, and Reb Shlomo makes like it's his whole big teaching about Aaron a Kohen, and that how he helped people make peace all the time, and so on and so on. And
How he lit the Chanukah, how he lit the menorah,
how he lit the menorah,
the liquid
etc.
jump
Right?
up to
Yeah,
the flame.
all kinds of beautiful things. But at the same time, it's interesting that in the Beit HaMikdash, the Kohanim were the ones who did the slaughtering of the sacrifices. They were involved with blood all the time. And the Levites, the Leviim, they were doing what? They were guarding the gates and opening the doors and singing while the sacrifices were taking place. And, so you get this image of the Leviim, being sort of like, the musicians and opening your heart. Is your father a Levi?
I have no idea.
Father used to play with Shlomo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You told me.
I mean, I just know I told you that.
And he also put out that Nachmu tape, or that's
No,
not
he
your
was the
father?
Asker Sugar.
He was, yes. Anyway,
Not the story.
and then you have, it's interesting. So you got over here, you have Shimon and Levi, right? The Nasi who was killed was from Shevet Shimon, right? And Pinchas is from the tribe of Levi. The Kohanim are from the tribe of Levi. Shimon and Levi are the two brothers who went against the people of Canaan when Dinah was abducted and raped by Shechem. And later in the Torah, when Moshe Rabbeinu when we made the golden calf, and Moshe Rabbeinu says, "Mi Lashem Elai," who is for God with me, and there was a need to take care of the people who weren't willing to give up their idolatrous connection with the golden calf. Who came to help Moshe Rabbeinu, and 3,000 people were killed? No? Take a guess. It was the Levium. So Shimon was like, Shimon and Levi, like, Yaakov Avinu sort of like is angry at them, and he says at the end of his life, that and in fact, Shevet Shimon really didn't have its own territory in Eretz Yisrael, and they were sort of absorbed into Yehuda, and Shevet Levi also didn't have its own strict territory. They had cities all over the country and so on, and they were in charge of the Arei Miklat. They were in charge of the cities of refuge. Okay? In other words, there was a recognition that these two tribes shouldn't really be together too much, because they could be very, very fierce. Did you ever see that this guy Yakubovich had done a film years ago, In Search of the 10 Lost Tribes, something like that? And did you know that in Afghanistan there's a tribe called Saman?
Oh, yeah. Rabbi Ken.
And Rabban, huh?
Rabbi Ken, he's a rabbi in LA, he speaks Slavic.
Yeah, and they have some practices like they might be one of the lost tribes, and these are fierce warriors that drove the Russians out of Afghanistan. In any case, so you have this contradictory thing, are the Kohanim nice, kind, gentle people, or are they fierce warriors? The Levim, are they just musicians and teachers, or are they also fierce warriors? And the truth is that they're both. They're both.
Why does it have to be one or the other?
Well, usually,
People are different.
No, I'm saying, but to be both, it's
in the same person. You're saying?
I'm saying in the same people, yeah, the same
group of people,
the same group of people, the same Kohanim. Okay.
If it's in the same individual, I can understand.
But I'm talking about the same individuals, the same group of people, the same individuals can be both. Okay. And so coming back to the question of jealousy, okay. So there's two kinds of jealousy. Let's say, for example, you're in a relationship, and I use the expression of guarding the relationship jealously. Is the word jealously being used in a negative way, or is it in a positive way?
It's really hard to tell. I could go overboard.
Let's say you love your relationship with your husband so much that you guard the relationship jealously. When it says Hashem is a jealous God, well, what is Hashem jealous of some stupid carving of stone or wood or anything like that? That God is jealous of the Jews bowing down to a piece of stone or to a piece of wood? What does it mean that God is a jealous God? Now, don't forget, the Torah is talking in human language, okay? So, in other words, it's language just to try to convey an idea to us. The idea is that Hashem cares about his relationship with us so much that if necessary, he will act jealously. You understand? In other words, he's not going to let us get away from this relationship. To guard a relationship jealously means that you care so much about the relationship, you're going to do something if you need to protect it.
What's an example of that?
An example of that is here, okay? Or an example of that is Hanukkah.
Hashem guarding the relationship jealousy.
Right now we're in the 3 weeks, right? We were going astray in quite a few ways. Hashem says, "Oh yeah, whack," takes the Beit HaMikdash away. You understand? It's like that's acting jealously. You understand? It's acting with severity.
Is that the meaning of it? Acting with severity?
Yeah, it's like saying, "I'm not going to let this happen." You know, a jealous person doesn't just sit there and feel jealous. Somebody who's acting jealously is like acting jealously. They go and they act out what they're feeling. You've been studying health things and so on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for example, I'm sure that it's happened to probably every one of us. Like, you know, that sometimes you drink too much on Purim and so on, and then your body just starts to puke, right? Never happened to you. Right? Hey, what didn't even ever happen? I mean, don't worry.
What's alcohol?
Huh?
I said, what's alcohol? I have no idea.
It's, it's made from sugar. Anyway, so the body is acting jealously, right? In other words, the body is saying, "I can't stand this. I'm spitting this out," right? That's acting jealously, right? It's like you don't just say, "Oh, this guy, he's stuffed my body with junk again, and I guess I'll just have to put up with it." The body at some point says, "No way, get out of here," right? It's like, in alternative medicine, they say, like, when a person's not feeling well, when a person is sick, it's like they say, "Okay, what's your body trying to tell you? What's your body trying to tell you? What are you doing that you need to change?" And the body is reacting with illness. Okay, so that's what's called jealous behavior. Okay. Now, but then there's the jealousy that's totally negative. Lo tachmod. Do not covet something that belongs to another person, right? Or lo tikon v'lo tiktor. You're not allowed to take revenge, right? I asked you, "Could you mind please lend me your Lamborghini for the weekend?" And you said no. And then you come and you want to borrow my bike, and I say, "No way." That's revenge. That's a negative form of jealousy. So if you're jealous, if your friend comes in and says, "Oh, look at what I just got! It's such a great thing," and you say, "Oh, I'm jealous," but you were saying it doesn't mean that you're jealous of the person. It means I'd like to have something like that too. That's okay. Okay. Now, Pinchas, what the Torah is telling us over here is that Hashem comes and is telling us that Pinchas actually acted out of love. In other words,
Love for Hashem.
love for Hashem and for the people of Israel. He understood that if this carries on, it's our end. Okay? He had that sensitivity. He realized that, this has to stop, and we have to stop it. And he went ahead and he did it.
Was he the only zealot?
He was the only one. There have been others in history, but here in the Torah, he's the only one that's presented in that way. And Hashem says, I'm giving him a covenant of peace because he actually did stop the plague. Don't forget, 24,000 people died then. You understand, it was like almost the end of Judaism, so to speak. It was.
It feels like all the time. I mean, how many times in Jewish history do we have almost the end of Judaism? Many, many times.
Yeah. That's what happened at Hanukkah too. The assimilation was so intense, right? And it was 80 Kohanim that got up and started fighting against the Greeks and the Mityavnim. That's what happens. And so there's a jealousy that makes you get up and do something, right? And sometimes you have to do something that is seemingly destructive, but it needs to be done.
How is that jealousy?
Huh?
How is that jealousy?
He's guarding the relationship jealously.
So when the person gets up and does something with Pinchas, that's guarding the relationship jealously?
It means that this situation right now is so bad, I'm willing to take the risk of getting into trouble, and I'm going to do something about it.
But why is that jealous as opposed to taking a risk? Or
No, but it's
why is jealous the word?
What's the motivation to do that? So the word is the word is kina. It's like that's the word that goes with it. It's jealousy. It's a good question. I'm not answering you that well right now.
I mean, that's the word. That's
no,
the word.
I admit it's something that I need to think about more. Like, why is that the word? But that's the word that's used in the Torah. Like, Kel Kana, God is a jealous God, means Hashem is guarding his relationship with Am Yisrael jealously. Okay? So Hashem is Rachum, Hashem is compassionate, Hashem is tolerant, Hashem waits for us to do tshuva. Okay? But then there comes a time where Hashem says, that's it. I'm not letting you get I'm not letting you get away any further. Okay? So he sends a Navi, sends the prophet, sends to warn us, etc., and so on. And then at some point Hashem says, okay, that's enough. And he does something about it. So there's the jealousy that is motivated by love. That's the important point, okay? And there's a jealousy, in other words, you care about the relationship, you care about something, and therefore you act that way. And there's a jealousy which is totally negative, which is motivated by hatred. Okay? Jealousy that's motivated by hatred, that's like mamish, totally wrong, right? So another couple of minutes. Yeah.
I'm actually not feeling that great.
Oh yeah. Okay. Do you want some tea or something? No? Okay. Where are you staying? Maybe.
Oh,
Okay. Okay. Are you gonna be here Shabbos? You don't know. If you're here, we're having Shabbos.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
If you're here tomorrow, come to the Bismedrash. There's a class at 12:30 also.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Nice to meet
The
It's
Walter. Avi was here. How many years ago were you here?
6 years.
6 years ago, he was learning in our yeshiva, and he's been living in Boulder for the last few years. Now he's in Tzfat.
Good. It's a good place
Huh?
to be.
I've been spending my time there and at my friend's place in their show.
Okay.
We'll see.
He loves all of Israel.
Can't make a living in stuff.
He loves all of Israel. Okay. Okay, be in touch, yeah?
I will.
You phoned me on my cell phone today?
I did.
Okay, so I just want just tell me. What was your number?
The 058404. About 2 o'clock. We're calling you 2:15.
Okay, I'll find you. Oh, I'll be happy to stay as I'll be.
Okay.
Okay, so bye, be well. Now, Rav Steinsaltz says over here that when there's a level of love and caring, he gives an example. He says, for example, in religious matters, there's a person comes to Shul Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. Everybody is davening, so he also davens, right? Then there's a person, like David HaMelech says, when he wakes up in the middle of the night, first thing that he thinks about is Hashem. Okay? He's missing God. So he remembers God because he's missing God. But not everybody is on that level. Neither can everybody be on that level. No, I'm sorry, but not everybody's on that level, but everybody could be if they want to. And then there's a level which we call kina, which we call jealousy, and this is answering your question, Leah, that when Hashem is in love, when a person is in love with somebody so much that the relationship has to be purely exclusive. Okay? You understand? It's like, like for example, sometimes a man and a woman go somewhere, and then if the man or the woman starts speaking to somebody else, the person that they're with starts feeling jealous, right? So it could be not such a great jealousy, but it also could be that there's such an intense love. They like I said before, guarding it jealously, like it has to be. There's no room for any. They have no tolerance for anything that could ruin the relationship. Okay. So it's a type of love, and not everybody is there, and there's different levels in that.
Can I ask a question on that?
Yeah.
Just as a mental professional, like if I ever had a client who was like that, or if I was working with one of my girls and she was like that, and that's like the first sign of like codependency and severely, like I'm sure like you're talking in holy levels that for sure.
We're
like,
talking about
like,
in Avodat Hashem. Okay. In other words,
it's a very scary line.
Yeah.
It's a very scary line.
That's what the Torah is telling you. It's about K'tia. Right? And the Vav has a break in it. Like, watch it. Don't misunderstand this parsha. This parsha is not about giving you a carte blanche to be a zealot. Okay? In a sense, the fact that this is so unusual is like the Torah is telling you, this is unusual. Okay, you know the. Let me give you an example. Shlomo was a zealot.
What does zealot mean?
Like he went and Shalom. באתם להגיד שלום? שלום לכם. No, he עשה לאיזה מסיבה עכשיו. אוקיי? מסיבת יום הולדת למישהו. Come in. So, oops, okay. למשל, but his zealousness went in a different way. The Lubavitcher Rebbe was a zealot, but in a different direction. Like the way Rabbi Dr. Jonathan Sachs, the former chief rabbi of England, in the talk that he gave at the Kinnus Shluchim 3 years ago, he said, what was the Lubavitcher Rebbe's response to the Holocaust? The Nazis, if they heard that there was a Jew hiding 50 miles away, they went after him. Even if it was one guy. The Lubavitcher Rebbe's response is, if there's one Jew in some hick town, I'm sending a shliach to tell him that we love him. Okay? Now, that's Shlomo traveled around the world for 30 years, to awaken Jews. Okay? That's the same type of love, but he acted it out in a much more positive way. On the other hand, one day on the Moshav, Shlomo heard that there were some parents that were hitting children. He sent somebody around at 2 o'clock in the morning, carrying candles, woke up all the parents and called an emergency meeting for all the parents. And he said, anybody that hits their children is not allowed to live on this Moshav. Okay? And that's, wouldn't you say severe? That's severe. Like, you're not gonna be allowed to live here if I hear that you do something like that. Shalom לכם. הולכים הביתה? אוקיי, כל טוב, תודה. תבואו לעתים קרובות. Okay? You understand? He had no tolerance for something like that. None whatsoever. Okay? Now that's also acting zealously. Like if you're walking down the street and you see somebody giving this kid a whack, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Honestly, you gonna say something?
Yeah.
I might.
You might
say something. If it was really bad, I would call somebody.
Yeah, but if it wasn't really bad, if it was whatever it is, would you
I have seen it before, and I always stop and watch, and if it gets more than it depends. I would feel the situation, but I sit there and watch and make sure everything's okay, and if not, then
you understand. This is yours is like the normal typical reaction. Okay, maybe better than the normal typical reaction. You understand? But a zealous character, okay. See, it's the same zealousy that drove Shlomo to learn Torah 24 hours a day, or 26 hours a day, like sometimes you put it. When he was a Bocher in Yeshiva, when he was a Bocher in Lakewood, he heard that one day that his chavrusa, or there was some boy that was talking to a girl. He didn't talk to that guy for a month because of that. He was like Harif, you know what I mean? He was like when he says on one of the recordings, he says, I would give my life 1,000,000 times for one page of Talmud. You understand? There was one person that Shlomo that put his hand out to shake his hand, and Shlomo refused. Rabbeinu.
would be.
To him, you gave away a part of Eretz Yisrael. Don't even want to touch you.
Matthew didn't make sure.
Okay? Like, he couldn't bring himself to shake hands with this man. And it was in public. He refused to give him his hand. You understand? He loved Eretz Yisrael so much, like if you haven't seen it, you can see it on YouTube. One of his last public speeches, he was giving a concert in Arizona. At one point, and this was during the Oslo stuff that was going on, the Oslo Accords, okay? And he finishes the concert. He says, okay, the concert is over. Now I'm going to say what I want to say. And he starts talking about Eretz Yisrael. And he is so furious about anything of Eretz Yisrael being given away. It sounds like you can imagine that the roof flew off the building from his intense love and anger over what was happening. The Lubavitcher Rebbe was like that too. You understand? Now, they were using that same quality in terms of like, it's not enough for me to reach out and make a difference to 100 people or to 1,000 people. They wanted to make a difference to every Yid alive. They wanted to make a difference to the whole world. Okay? It's the same quality. It's the same emotional quality of kinah. It's an intense love that it really hurts you when you hear that there's a Yid in such and such a place that doesn't have any connection. It really hurts you when you hear that there is a child that isn't getting a Jewish education, that you're going to go and you're going to send one of your people and say, go there and open up a Jewish school. Go there and open up a Chabad house. Go there and talk to the people.
How is that related to sticking the spear through two people?
Because this is a different situation. This was a life and death situation over here that and there was a plague going on already, and somehow or other he knew that this is the way it's going to end. But the motivation. What I'm saying is that the motivation is the same motivation. You understand? It's that motivation that makes things happen. That makes a difference.
What's the difference between being angry and being a zealot?
If
somebody throws rocks at a car on Shabbos, is that being a zealot? Or is that being angry?
There are people in town that claim to be acting that way, okay? But it's why don't they go out and start teaching kids or doing.
Maybe they throw rocks in their spare time.
Look, do you understand the point that that's being made over here? The point is that you care so much that you can't tolerate a situation which is not as good as it should be. Okay? Now take, for example, the Levium, our musicians.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I told you the story when my friend Yaakov was having his oifruf and he had it in the great synagogue in Tel Aviv. And that Friday night, they had a chazan from Chutz La'aretz, and they were doing Kabbalat Shabbat Shlomo style with the choir. And in Mizmor the David, the second Mizmor of Kabbalat Shabbat, it was like too delicate, And I was standing in a far corner, and I decided, it's got to have some oomph, So I started singing with some oomph. Immediately, the chazan knew exactly where it's coming from. He immediately looked at me, and his look on his face was, I'm going to kill you.
You're ruining it for me.
I'm going to kill you. Okay? In music, okay, I'm not talking about a band jamming, okay? In music, in a concert piece, you make one note wrong, you're out of the symphony.
Right.
You're out of the symphony. In programming,
I
you
used
put
to
one,
play in orchestras. And I was
okay, in programming, you make one, like band leaders and so on can be furious.
right. That's all.
Okay,
But
and the Levim were musicians. Understand the whole? It's like when you know how good it's supposed to be. When I was
isn't
working
that
in a school,
intolerance, though?
no, it's intolerance, but it's intolerance for a different. It's not a stupid intolerance. It's an intolerance of stupidity.
Intolerance.
You understand? Most of the kids that would get sent down to my office when I was head teacher in a school in Montreal, not most, but many of them were the best kids in the school. They couldn't stay in class. They couldn't stand being in class with a teacher that was miles behind them. Understand? They'd rather get kicked out and be sent to my office. But the point is this, okay, so there's tolerance, okay? There's tolerance, right? Now, but there's a certain point where tolerance is a matter of, you know why you're so tolerant? Because you don't care enough. If to be tolerant of the fact that there's thousands of Jews who aren't getting a proper education, that means that, I'm learning. In Yiddish there's an expression of tzaddik and pelts. I'm keeping myself warm. Everybody else is freezing. Okay? So there's tolerance. I'm a tolerant person. Yeah, why are you tolerant about the fact that the majority of Jewish kids in America don't even know what an aleph is? You're tolerant? You don't care enough. Protecting your own community, that's it. That's not tolerance. Yeah, they're eating the this and that and so on. But what are you doing about it? Nothing. So it's not that you're tolerant. You just don't really care. Understand? A person who really cares, who really loves every Yid, is going to do everything that's possible to make sure that every Yid is connected with Yiddishkeit. Okay? That type of love is called kin'ah. You can't tolerate anything less than the way it should be. Okay?
And that leads you to action.
And that leads you to action.
I think that's the point of it.
Yeah, that leads you to action. Now, the action, so that's why the Torah is saying that you should know that Pinchas was motivated not by his maternal grandparents, he was motivated by his paternal grandfathers. He was motivated with the same love that Aaron and Kohen had. And that's why Hineni Noten Lo Briti Shalom. Okay? And that's not codependence, that's beyond, you understand? But you're right, in other situations, it's a red flag. In other words, Pinchas is a red flag also. Okay? Now it says that the Medrash says, Pinchas ze Eliyahu. And the Shaitas points this out. We have hundreds of stories about Eliyahu and his compassion. How he shows up and saves you when you're in trouble, everything. But the stories in the Tanakh, even other Nevi'im were afraid to be around Eliyahu. You learned Tanakh, right? Eliyahu wipes out the false prophets personally, and he's a man of the sword in when he needs to be. Okay, so that's understand. So that's a understand. So the same person who can be fierce in a punishing way will also be fierce in a loving way, and if it's real holiness, both of them are motivated by the same love. Understand? If your zealousness only leads you to hurt people, and it doesn't lead you to use all your resources for the benefit of everybody, there we got a real problem. Okay, but if you're a really holy, zealous person, you're going to go out and make sure that every Yid has matzah for Pesach. You're going to make sure that every Yid gets in touch with their neshama, like Shlomo did by going out and. I mean, he died on an airplane. It's not surprising, he gave his life for Am Yisrael, because to him, if he knew that we used to bring him to Montreal a few times a year. Okay, he'd come. He was sick. He'd schlep up 3 flights of stairs, and one night, counting him and Judy and myself, after Judy being on the week for 3 weeks, on the phone for 3 weeks, inviting people, we were all together 10 people in the house, and he schlepped in from New York just for that evening, and he paid his own airplane ticket.
Yeah.
And he never complained about it. He never complained about it. Can you imagine? And he would, and because Judy would invite him, and he'd say, "Yeah, I'm coming." And he came. He paid his own airplane ticket. I barely gave him a few dollars because I gave him what I could. It didn't cover his hotel and airplane ticket. Let me tell you that much. And he never said boo. He never avoided coming the next time. Would you do something like that? Would I do something like that? Would you do something like that? He said, what, for 10 people, including yourself, total of 10 people, have to slip from New York to come and give a shir? Can you imagine that? And never did he utter a word of complaint. It was clear to him that he has to come to Montreal that night. He's going to Montreal. He has to go to Toronto. He's going to Toronto. He has to go to California. He's going to California. He's going to Africa. He's going wherever he needs to go. This is his zealousness.
Was what zealousness brought him to the point where he felt he had to give.
His love. That's what I'm saying. It's a kind of a love. It's like you go and you do the maximum you can. Okay.
It's beautiful.
Have a good Shabbos.
We shall strive to be.
Huh?
We shall strive to be.
Okay, I didn't hear you.
We shall strive to be.
Don't